In the quiet Otara village, surrounded by rolling hills, tall trees, and roaming animals, there was a family that lived in a village house. The family was made up of a hard-working father, a caring mother, and their 3 children. Their oldest daughter was named Ayi. Ayi was beautiful, brilliant, neat, and the best all-round pupil in her village school. Ayi always joined her parents in the family farmland each day after school. Ayi's father spent his days on the family farm, plowing the land with his simple tools, while her mother tended to the crops. Together, the family worked hard, and they were happy. As Ayi grew, so did her dreams. When she turned 13, her parents sent her to a boarding secondary school in the city. Her hair was now beautifully braided, and she wore a crisp new uniform. The city was exciting, full of new faces, sounds, and opportunities. It was there that she met a fellow student, a boy named Asika. They would often study together in the school library and played together in the park, laughing, sharing stories, and talking about the future. But things didn't go as planned. Ayi found out she was going to have a baby. Fearing what her strict parents might say and unsure of what to do, Ayi ran away to live with Asika, hiding her pregnancy from everyone. Though Asika brought Ayi into his single room, he was very scared. He didn't know how to take care of Ayi and her pregnancy, and didn't know how to confront his harsh uncle about his predicament. So, he ran away to another city, leaving Ayi all alone. Ayi was heartbroken, but she knew she had to be strong. Asika's uncle, who had given him a room in another of his houses, was unaware that Ayi was living in his house. But one day, he went to check Asika up, but discovered a young girl in his room. She introduced herself as Asika's girlfriend and revealed that she was carrying his baby. Asika's uncle was furious when she also told him that Asika had abandoned her for months and was nowhere to be found. He sternly advised her to go back to her parents. A few weeks later, he chased her out of the house. Confused, and with nowhere to go, Ayi turned to some of her schoolmates for help. She moved from place to place until, one night, she gave birth to a bouncing and handsome baby boy. Ayi loved him so much, but she had no place to go with him, and mother with her newly born son roamed the streets. A good Samaritan found them and offered to take them to her single room. There she made a very difficult decision. One dark, quiet night, she wrapped her baby boy in a warm blanket and went to the Mother Care orphanage home. With tears in her eyes, she left the baby on the doorstep of the orphanage and whispered, "I'm sorry. I hope you would find a better life here than I could offer." And she fled to a remote part of the city, and nothing was hard nor known of her for over a decade. The next morning, the kind woman who ran the orphanage found the baby. She was surprised, but happy to take him in. She named the baby Moses and raised him as if he were her own child. Moses grew up with other children in the orphanage, learning about love, kindness, and faith. He became very close to the woman who cared for him, and she taught him to always believe in himself and in God. She also taught him to pray always. Moses completed his elementary education at the orphanage at 12 years old, and that became his only qualification. At 15 years old, he decided to leave the orphanage and fend for himself. Moses continued to work diligently as a newspaper vendor, rising early each morning to collect the keys from his employer's home in one end of the city to open his newspaper's kiosk and attend to his customers at another end. The monthly pay was very poor, and he decided to work as a daily paid laborer in construction sites. He worked at various construction sites, carrying heavy bricks all day long. In all, he never ceased to pray regularly. One of his friends from Mother Care orphanage home discussed the prospects of working as a house servant for a wealthy man in the city, and Moses accepted to work for the wealthy man named Asika, who lived in a grand mansion, never knowing that Asika was his biological father. Asika was strict but fair, and Moses admired him for his success and strong work ethics. Yet, Moses often wondered about the family he had never known. Now, something amazing was about to happen. Many years had passed since Ayi left her baby at the orphanage, and she had not seen Asika since he abandoned her and ran away. Asika, a tall and dignified man, was shopping at a luxurious store when suddenly he spotted a familiar face, Ayi, his childhood girlfriend. They both froze, staring at each other in disbelief before rushing into a warm embrace. Asika opened, "Ayi, after all these years, I never thought I'd ever see you again." "Neither did I, Asika. It's been 18 years, but it feels like yesterday," replies Ayi. Memories of their youth flooded back, and soon they were laughing and talking as if no time had passed at all. They decided to keep in touch, and before long, their old friendship blossomed into love once again. Asika and Ayi became closer, spending time together, and tried to heal old wounds. A few months later, Asika proposed to Ayi, and with tears of joy, she happily accepted. She moved into his mansion, bringing with her the warmth and happiness that Asika had been missing. And 3 months later, they got married and settled into their new life together. Ayi took notice of the young man working as Asika's house servant. Moses was quiet but hardworking. Even though Moses was just a servant, Ayi felt something special about him and developed an inexplicable bond with him, like a mother watching over her child. They quickly became friends, and Ayi admired how hardworking and kind Moses was. She would make him sit down comfortably with her and have conversations. She often confided in him that he reminded her so much of someone she lost a long time ago, who might be of the same age as him. Ayi hadn't told anyone yet the secret about the baby boy she had left at the orphanage 18 years ago. What will happen when Ayi reveals her secret? Will she ever find her son? Her happiness in her new life with Asika was often hindered by the thoughts of this secret, especially since she married Asika. She concluded to let her husband, Asika, into the secret. One night, after dinner, Ayi sat down with Asika. Her heart was heavy, and she knew she couldn't keep the secret any longer. "Asika," she began softly, "there's something I need to tell you. When we were young, after you left, I had our baby. He was a boy. I was scared and alone, so I left him at an orphanage. I don't know what happened to him after that." She swore that the child was Asika's own son. Asika was shocked. He didn't know what to say at first. "We had a son?" he asked, his voice full of surprise. Ayi nodded, her eyes filling with tears. Asika sat in silence, taking in the news. "We have to find him," he finally said. "We need to know what happened to our boy." 2 days later, Asika and Ayi went to Mother Care Orphanage Home, where Ayi had left the baby 18 years ago, equipped with his birth medical records. The matron who ran the orphanage then had passed. When Ayi explained her story, the new matron, who heard the story from her late boss, remembered it well. "I remember the morning she discovered a baby wrapped in blankets on the doorstep," she said. "You left a beautiful baby boy on our doorstep. She took him in and named him Moses." Asika, who appeared anxious, asked for more information about Moses, and the matron confirmed that one of the orphanage staffs was close to Moses and always knew about him. She called out for the staff, but was told he was off duty that day. Another appointment was made for Ayi and Asika to meet the orphanage staff and perhaps discover Moses's whereabouts. On the appointed day, the staff of Mother Care Orphanage Home led Asika and Ayi to Asika's mansion, and the staff identified Moses, the house servant of Asika, as their son. It was a moment of revelation. Moses, the young man who had unknowingly entered Asika's life, was their son. It was as if fate had drawn them all together, and by divine intervention, Moses was reunited with his parents. Asika and Ayi, filled with joy, sent Moses back to school, determined to give him the best education he deserved. Moses worked hard, driven by the love of his parents and his deep faith in God. Years passed, and Moses graduated from the university, standing tall and proud. During his graduation ceremony, he gave a heartfelt testimony about God's divine intervention in his life, sharing how the twists and turns of his journey had led him back to the family he had never known. And thus, a new chapter of their lives began. A story of reunion, love, and the power of faith. After Moses graduated from the university, he began to work tirelessly to give back to the community that had shaped him. He started a foundation to help orphaned children just like he had once been. His story of struggle and triumph had inspired many, and people from all over came to hear his testimony about God's divine intervention in his life. Moses and his parents, Asika and Ayi, grew closer with each passing day. Asika, who had always been known for his stern demeanor, softened in the presence of his son. The mansion, once a place of solitude, was now filled with laughter, love, and the sounds of family. Ayi, now a mother once more, found peace in the bond she shared with Moses. They spoke often of the past, of the choices she had made, and how they had all been part of a greater plan. She was grateful that God had brought her son back to her in such a miraculous way. As Moses' foundation grew, he met a young woman named Kimi, who shared his passion for helping others. The two became close, and it wasn't long before they fell in love. With the blessings of his parents, Moses asked Kemi to marry him, and she said yes. Their wedding was a joyful celebration, filled with the same friends, family, Ayi's parents, who were brought from the village to witness their grandson's wedding, and the community that had supported Moses throughout his journey. On the day of his wedding, as Moses stood before the altar, he reflected on how far he had come. He thought of the orphanage where he had grown up, the challenges he had faced, and the family he had longed for. He looked out into the crowd and saw his mother, Ayi, smiling with pride, and his father, Asika, standing tall beside her. For the first time in his life, Moses felt whole. Years passed, and Moses and Kemi had 2 children of their own. They raised their family with the same values Moses had learned at the orphanage: the importance of faith, hard work, and love. Asika and Ayi became doting grandparents, spending their days with Moses' children, teaching them the values of life and preparing them for the future. One day, Moses returned to the orphanage with his family to give thanks. He stood outside the same door where his mother had left him so many years ago. The orphanage matron, now much older, greeted him warmly. Moses knelt and prayed, thanking God for watching over him and guiding him through all the trials of his life. With tears in his eyes, Moses turned to his parents and said, "It was all part of God's plan. I would not change a single thing. My only request now was for my grandparents to come from the village and live with us in the city." Ayi and Asika, holding hands, granted their son's request. An apartment in the mansion was renovated for Grandpa and Grandma to spend the rest of their lives in the city. They knew now, more than ever, that their journey had been blessed. As they hugged, Ayi whispered to Asika, "We were lost for so long, but now we are found." And with that, their story came to an end, not with sadness, but with the knowledge that love, faith, and family would guide them through whatever lay ahead. The happy couple identified the following lessons for viewers. 1. God's divine plan, Jeremiah 29:11. The story of Moses' life illustrates the biblical truth that God has a plan for each person, even when the journey is filled with hardship. Just as it is written in Jeremiah 29:11, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." Moses' journey from abandonment to reunion and success shows that even the most difficult moments can lead to God's greater purpose. 2. Forgiveness and restoration. Luke 15:11-32. The story reflects the parable of the prodigal son, where Ayi, like the prodigal son, made mistakes in her youth, but was forgiven and restored by her family. Asika and Ayi's forgiveness towards each other and their reunion with Moses is a powerful example of God's forgiveness. When we return to Him, no matter how far we've strayed, He welcomes us back with love and grace. 3. God's timing. Ecclesiastes 3:1. The long separation between Moses and his parents teaches patience and trust in God's timing. Ecclesiastes 3:1 says, "To everything there is a season, a time for every purpose under heaven." Despite the years of hardship and separation, God's perfect timing led to their reunion, showing that God's plans are often beyond our understanding, but always right on time. The power of prayer. James 5:16. Moses' life was guided by prayer. The fact that he grew up to be a prayerful man shows the importance of prayer in navigating life's challenges. As James 5:16 says, "The prayer of a righteous person is powerful and effective." Moses' success and eventual reunion with his family reflect how a life grounded in faith and prayer can bring about transformation. 5. Faith and perseverance. Romans 5:3-5. The challenges that Moses faced, from being abandoned to working as a laborer, are reflective of the perseverance that God calls us to have. Romans 5:3-4 teaches that suffering produces perseverance, perseverance, character, and character, hope. Moses' perseverance through his trials allowed him to grow into a strong, faithful man. In conclusion, this story of Ayi, Asika, and Moses is a powerful testament to the themes of faith, forgiveness, perseverance, and God's unchanging love. It encourages the audience to trust in God's plan, seek forgiveness, and hold on to hope, no matter how difficult the journey may be. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching this video. Please like, subscribe, and hit the notification button for next stories.